How about now? Is it better?
Much better.
Okay, cool. So it's just been being a real turd. So if it goes out, or if basically when I do one of my world famous gesticulations, if I bump my mic in any way, it's gonna turn off.
Okay.
So we'll just have to power through.
Yeah.
Video podcast professionals that we are.
I would rather have many world famous gesticulations than you be worried about your mic the whole time.
You want me to gesticulate?
Yeah, if you could even a little bit more than that, I think you got more in you than that. There we go. There we go. You hit it that time. Welcome in, everybody. I don't know if you know this, but this is FAN2FAN Detroit, a show by Detroit fans for Detroit fans.
We haven't said that in a while, have we?
Yeah, no, we haven't. But we're actually going to start this show not talking about Detroit at all, and we're really probably not going to do a whole ton of Detroit sports until the end.
Got a little. We're going to do a little bit. Yeah, we got some.
A little bit, but that's fine because there's bigger and better things for us to talk about. Most importantly, I think maybe in the entire sports calendar year is the Super Bowl, where we watched Thomas Brady win his fucking 7th Super Bowl. The guy is literally, and normally I exaggerate when I say this, he's literally 142 years old. Mm-hmm. That's not an exaggeration.
Is that on the Mars calendar? Is that like a Martian year?
No, that's real life. That's real life. Yeah. Yeah, they ask him what's his secret is, and he says the TB12 method, which doesn't make sense. It sounds like probably steroids to me.
It sounds like HGH for sure.
Yeah, that's you're switching letters and numbers with HGH. So
it's actually about thinking about pliability. It's not actual pliability. It's thinking about pliability.
Who would you be more surprised to find out is part alien? Mark Zuckerberg or Tom Brady?
I don't want to wade too heavily into politics and social media on the show, but it's Tom Brady.
Yes, I agree, 100%. What for real though? Like, what was this game? What was this game?
I think it was everybody got ahead of themselves, right? Everybody was ready to anoint Patrick Mahomes, the God King, young 25-year-old God King of the NFL. And, football is the sport where it's the most difficult to affect the game as a single person, especially when the other 10 guys or 11 guys on the field are just kind of outmatched. And I think that was kind of what we saw. It looked a lot kind of like some of those Matt Stafford games where you're like, boy, I mean, he's doing his best, but there's not a lot around him.
He got sunned. He went for a layup against his big brother, and his big brother let him look like he was going to have it, and he swat that shit into the neighbor's front yard. It was mean. I had a conversation with my buddy before the game. What does this mean for Patty Mahomes' legacy? Because going in, my thought was not much. If he wins, great. If he loses, he'll be back. And my buddy said, shout out Mike, that if he loses this, he can never be the GOAT. And I disagreed. And I think I might agree now at this present time.
So
he's now lost an AFC championship game and a Super Bowl to Tom Brady, the current and probably forever GOAT. I don't know if he can ever get there.
I'm hesitant to make any more big, long-standing declarations about Patty Mahomes because I feel like everybody's made a few over the last 24 months and it just hasn't really worked out. I do think that Tom Brady is now Michael Jordan for our generation. So whenever Trevor Lawrence or whatever 15-year-old playing in South Texas playing quarterback right now, who's going to become the next greatest quarterback whenever that guy shows up, our generation is going to be defending Tom Brady. No, I don't think so. The way that Jordan people defend Jordan against LeBron.
Well, the difference is I don't think our generation loves Tom Brady like that. I think
but we all respect him.
Yeah, but I still think, if you can find a reason. What do you think that was with Patty Mahomes? That's everybody trying to find a reason for Tom Brady not to be the GOAT or not to be the future GOAT. But I think you're right when you say he's like Jordan, because now it becomes the discussion. The greatest, people always get up in arms when you talk about the greatest athlete of all time, and it's Tom Brady. They're like, have you ever seen that guy run? How's that the greatest athlete of all time? So how about I say this? The greatest sports player who's ever played a sports game, where does he rank on that list?
Would you say he's one of the greatest winners in sports history?
Yeah, though he might be the greatest winner in sports history.
Well, it's like him, and then like Bill Russell is probably floating around that conversation. Some of those elite Yankee teams, right? Some of those guys are probably floating around that conversation. Maybe Tim Duncan is maybe kind of in around nearby, and LeBron
and Jordan.
And then you start getting into like Michael Phelps, right? You start getting into
right.
The, like
well, that's
B
where
and
the
C
discussion
tier sports.
is.
Yeah.
And like Roger Federer, Michael Phelps, Serena Williams, like those people are obviously
whichever
on the
hockey
list.
one we're forgetting. Whichever hockey one we're forgetting.
Wayne Gretzky
Sorry.
guy.
Yeah.
Those people are all on the list, but it is at this point hard to make a case for anybody who's not Tom Brady to be the greatest winner and the greatest sports player to ever play sports.
Nobody's called his shot better than Brady has with this.
Beginning of the year, what do you say? We'll be there. Straight face. We'll be there. New team, new coach, new organization, doing something completely different than he had done for the previous 20 years. Hey, don't worry, guys. We'll be there. And he did it. And not only did he do it, he went in there and whooped the ass of the most exciting team, potential dynasty since the Warriors when they got KD. Whooped their ass easily. And looked like he was playing in week 1 of the regular season the entire time. This Bucks team was just as impressive as the best game I think they've played all year. I don't think there's any doubt for that. That defense, the defense has been good all postseason and really the back half of the regular season, but just unbelievable. And I know that they're going to have cap issues, and I know a couple of those guys are going to be gone. But if you're telling me you couldn't run this back with Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown and still be possibly the best team, or without those two guys and still possibly be the best team in football next year, I'd call you crazy. Those guys didn't matter. You don't even really need Gronk there. You need Tom Brady and a good defense. That's it.
They have a lot of weapons.
Of course.
And they're going to continue to have those weapons.
My point.
Sure. And that's, again, a big thing that we learn every year, except for maybe hopefully with the Lions, and it's that you don't those elite early running back picks don't usually end up being worth what you think they're going to be worth, right? The Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire as their first round pick, and he's not really that great this year. He was okay. He was really solid early on, but do you think that
I really think they would have been a lot better with Swift?
Yeah. Oh, I had that same thought when I was watching the Super Bowl. If DeAndre Swift's out there and he catches 5 balls for 60 yards, that's an entirely different ball game.
Yeah. But it's also so hard to judge what this Chiefs team was doing. They didn't have 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen that they were planning on starting the season with. They were running out a right tackle who has been cut from 8 teams in 9 years, including from the practice squad on 4 of them. Like this, he had nothing to work with. He had no time. The second that ball was in his hands, there was somebody in his face, and he almost made 2 of the most miraculous throws I've ever seen. Have you seen the still frame of the one like level with the ground?
Yeah, it's in your Twitter inbox.
Yeah, please put that right here. Like it was absurd. Like it looked like, I'm sure you've seen it. It was going around Twitter this week. The play on NCAA Football 14 where the guy gets the back of his legs taken out and he's basically flipped upside down for Patty Mahomes. It throws it like this, and it's a dime. It was like that in real life. It was absurd. But he comes away from this game looking to the casual sports fan like a phony. And obviously we know he's not.
Wow.
There's been way too much talk of that exact type of thing, and maybe not a complete fraud, but look how far we all jumped back because of one game.
True. I think it's more of an adjustment, right? Does he win 4 Super Bowls now?
Yes.
Probably still. He probably still can pull 4 out. But is that going to make him, where is that going to put him legacy wise? A little lower than maybe we thought before.
You could still give me even odds that he ends up the second best quarterback of all time, and I'd make that bet.
I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers only won one title, and that guy, we've both agreed, one of the two or three most purely talented quarterbacks ever.
At an organization that has not once tried to build a team around him. I think that's the difference. The Chiefs will put every dime and piece of energy that they have into building a team around Patty Mahomes.
Yeah, for sure.
I think 4 is still the low end. I mean, let's not, like, he's been to 2 Super Bowls already. He's 24, 25 years old.
He's 25, yeah.
25, like the legacy, this is the building blocks. You got to lose sometime. Tom Brady's lost 3 Super Bowls.
I just would like to say, as somebody who's about Patty Mahomes' age, I am equally as successful as Patty Mahomes.
Yeah, well, we knew that. We just didn't need to point it out and brag to everybody.
I'm sorry. You're right. I try. Sometimes my ego comes out on the show and I say things like that. But
so I'm going to give you plus 750 odds we get a rematch of the Super Bowl next year.
Then no, because the Chiefs are like plus 850 to go back themselves, or 950.
Okay,
or something.
I'm going to give you plus 2,000.
So this is a workshopped opinion. It is still in the oven a little bit, but we see it every year that the team that loses in the Super Bowl has a pretty big Super Bowl hangover. We see it every year.
It's not. There isn't teams this good.
It's a law of nature. It's a law of nature.
There is not teams this good losing in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I mean,
like I said, it's still in the oven. It's got about 15, 20 minutes left to cook. But I'm wondering if the Chiefs, and what would that even look like? Do the Chiefs win 10 games next year?
Because it's like 11. 11 is a Super Bowl hangover for them. And then they're ready to go by the playoffs. Super Bowl hangovers happen because these teams come out and start 0-4 or 1-3 because they're just like, we're champions. Who cares about training camp?
The 49ers just couldn't make it through a season. With injuries, the Rams just weren't as good. Teams adjusted to them.
So that's the one thing that could do it for the Chiefs. You know, people talk about the Warriors going to 5 straight finals and the LeBron going to 10 in a row and how it breaks your body down. We saw Clay now back-to-back injuries. KD tear his Achilles. This is football. Like, if there is a time, back-to-back Super Bowls is tough. 20 games, 2 years in a row is tough. So that's the one thing I could see holding them back. They have a 49ers type of year. But even then, if you have Patrick Mahomes on the field, you're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, whatever, when we do over-unders when they come out for the next season, my number is like 11.5 for the Chiefs. Like, that's
I think it'll probably be 11.5 or 12.5. I think you're pretty spot on.
If it's 12.5, I'm definitely under 12.5.
Yeah, I'm under 12.5 regardless, though.
I mean, what if, like, maybe I don't want to wish injuries upon people or speak it into existence. If Travis Kelce goes down, what does that look like? Travis Kelce plays tight end. Like, those guys get injured all the time, and he's been historically healthy the last couple of years.
I think they'll be fine.
Maybe.
I think that's how good this team is. Yeah. I just watched this team get their butts whooped 31-9, and I still, right now, 100% in my soul believe if their offensive line was healthy, they'd be Super Bowl champions right now.
So how many draft picks do you think they spend on the offensive line this year?
The first round pick, the second round pick, and whatever cap space they have. But I don't think some of it's injuries. Their right guard opted out. He'll be back next year.
Yeah.
So, most of it's injuries. It's not like this offensive line sucks. This is a okay to a slightly above average offensive line on a normal week. It just was the wrong time. It just was, and they almost lost another guy because their barber got COVID halfway through his haircut.
Yeah, we almost that could be. So if you were to tell me, you come to me from 3 years in the future, and you say, Parker, the year of COVID, there was a big scandal. That season has a big scandal that's going to come out in about 2 years. My guess would be that COVID barber maybe wasn't super on the up and up, because I just have a hard time believing some of that sometimes. The NFL, when you look at basketball right now and you look at how much they've struggled, I'm shocked to find out that like all of these football teams have been completely fine the whole time.
Oh yeah, no way, no way. Yeah. Unless it just was. No, I'm agreeing with you. Unless it was just, hey, everybody in the league had COVID already. Like,
sure. So I mean, it's kind of happening. There was the Alvin Kamara thing. Alvin Kamara wasn't wearing his like tracker that they needed for contact tracing and met some guy and maybe got COVID from it because they saw it on cameras. Like there's stuff trickling out. Like there's gonna be some teams are gonna lose their 5th round draft picks. I think.
Give them all to the Lions.
That'd be great. I'd love a 5th round.
We
draft
didn't
pick.
cheat one time. We were totally on the up and up.
Well, the only good thing that Patricia did this year was consistently wear a mask. That was the thing in game. That was the thing.
So I didn't have to see his stupid face. Should I have not said it?
No, you should have said I was doing my Matt Patricia face.
Oh,
which you can't see because he was wearing the like my friend's girlfriend calls them Republican masks. The like full on face shields.
Oh, that's what they're called. Yeah,
yeah.
You're wearing a scarf.
But I actually think that if you're a football coach, that's the right mask play. Most mobility. It's not in your way. You can shout through it. It's the smart move if you're a coach.
Have you ever looked at a football coach? Do you think mobility has ever been important to one of those guys in their entire lives?
Do you think that Andy Reid would have been more comfortable with one of those on than whatever the fuck the funnel that he had over his nose?
I have the greatest clip of all time that we need to play right here.
Well, we'll play it right here.
Andy Reid in the pass, kick, and run challenge when he was a kid. I'm not joking. He's 6'7", 400 pounds. The next tallest kid is 4'5". He's 4'5". It doesn't like it looks so dumb.
I can't believe that he's young enough to have participated in that.
Yeah, I know. I participated in that for baseball. Like I wouldn't have thought that would have been something that was around back in 1949, but I guess I was wrong. Do you want
to say anything about the game itself? What you thought? Anything you learned or didn't learn? I genuinely wonder if some of these NFL teams will take what they learned from this, hanging the safeties back and just trying to get there by rushing forward and seeing what that looks like next year.
It's not going to work.
Yeah,
it's been people have tried it. It worked It worked on Sunday because they didn't have an offensive line. They're running out half a practice squad offensive line. But teams will try it the first 6 weeks of the season, and the Chiefs are going to whoop their ass. My big takeaway is that this maybe is the most excited I've been for a Super Bowl, maybe ever. And I was immensely disappointed.
Yeah. So this game to me was that was bad sex. This is a bad sex game.
And the halftime show sucked.
Wow, I disagree. I thought it was really solid. I think that, especially when you start getting into the COVID restrictions for a halftime show. Hey, can I tell you something I learned about halftime shows on Sunday? Whenever there's a band, so this goes for the Who, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
They're not real.
It kind of probably goes for Paul McCartney. The music isn't live. Their instruments aren't plugged in. The NFL does not allow bands to play live. They force them to what Flea, the bassist of the Red Chili Peppers, called miming, where there are so many moving parts and it has to go so perfectly flawlessly that they basically take bands and they tell them, look, it's not an option for you to play. You can record a live cut and you'll play it, and you'll go on stage and you'll pretend to play whatever your instrument is, but they don't play live.
That's crazy to me.
That is crazy.
I would have never guessed that. I have to point something out.
Springsteen?
That is totally 100% off topic before we move on here.
Sure.
I just want to apologize to the world. I got a haircut, good haircut, but he gave me the NASCAR fan beard. Tell me I don't look like I watch NASCAR with this big just gape right here.
Oh man, I'm gonna take that and file this in my brain, and in about 10 minutes a joke is gonna pop out. Okay.
All right. Anything else about the Super Bowl?
It was a little underwhelming. A little. And that's too bad because I think we all would have really enjoyed a Super Bowl. I will be monitoring what I'm sure will be significant COVID outbreak. But that's all I want to say about it.
The season. So.
Yeah, that's true.
NFL doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, for now until the scandal breaks. Do you want to real quick before we transition into the next topic, let's take a quick break to hear a little bit about this network that we're speaking to you from.
Also brought to you by Jameson.
Hey there. I see that you're watching a Planet Ant Podcast's live stream show. Did you know that there's many other shows and podcasts and hashtag content that you can also listen to? Do you see how I'm making eye contact with you? That's because I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, the Planet live streaming community has many different interesting shows to offer. There is, for example, Big Time Garbage. There is also, for example, Bahama Live. There's also podcasts like She's Good, a sports podcast centered around women's sports. You may see some of them on our show sometime soon, at some point, and to be determined later, once we figure out what we're going to do. There's a movie podcast. There's multiple movie podcasts. There's Scaring and Sharing. There's Miles Platt also has a show, Monday Movie Night Raw, where he watches WWE Studios movies and does big goofs on them, and many other things. And you can check those out, planetpodcast.com or facebook.com/planetpodcasts. Thanks.
Wait,
Andrew,
don't
do you
forget
want
about
anything to that?
Sandwich Talk.
Oh,
My
hell
favorite,
yeah.
my favorite, my personal favorite. With Carlos. Carlos kills it every time. 10 times out of 10, he kills it.
I briefly produced Sandwich Talk. I briefly was involved with Sandwich Talk. I am not any longer, but it's still one of my all-time favorite shows. It's very fun. Carlos is a great host, and if you like sandwiches and you like Detroit food culture and also like Detroit art culture, Carlos is like an incredible booker. He just knows everybody in like all of the like art, comedy, food communities. Carlos knows them all. Tuesdays at 6. Tuesdays at 6.
That time. Parker, I'm going on a ride.
Is it the Top Thrill Dragster?
Nope. One more guess.
Is it Michigan's Adventure Shivering Timbers?
No, definitely not that. I would never go to Michigan Adventures. I'm closer to Cedar Point. Why would I waste my money? I'm going on the carousel.
Oh.
But I need you to lead me there.
Oh, the quarterback carousel? Oh.
Excuse me? I'm trying to record a show over here. Sir. Please, to the quarterback carousel.
Onwards to the quarterback carousel. So for the quarterback carousel, we've seen a few teams kind of move their quarterbacks around, but there's still, I don't know what the exact number that I have here is, but it's like 12 or 13, maybe 15 teams where their quarterback situation is kind of up in the air. And I have broken these teams down into 5 tiers. And we're kind of going to go through them and let me know if you agree with it or if there's any of these that stand out to you. The first tier is kind of more of a speculative tier. It's the we probably got our guy, but since we're talking on the phone already tier. And then that you've got the Falcons and Matt Ryan. These are teams that they're probably okay with their quarterback situation, but if you gave them a real solid offer, they'd have to convene the brain trust a little bit. I've got the 49ers in there with Jimmy G. I've got the Broncos in there with Drew Lock. I've got the Cowboys in there with Dak Prescott. Kind of came out that they're going to try to work a deal out with Dak Prescott, or at least for this year. The Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger, and the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. Does anything stand out to you in that tier, Andrew?
You know, I think every team on there, besides who's the third one you said? Team on
Broncos with Drew Lock.
Every team on there besides the Broncos, I think, goes into next season with their same quarterback. I think the Niners are a little too late and they don't want a rookie. I think the Falcons, again, a little too late. They might draft a rookie, but I think Matt Ryan will still be there. I think it's so hard to trade Aaron Rodgers in the NFL because a team is almost never going to be willing to give up what you want in return. So I think the Broncos are probably the only team that is going to go into next season with a new quarterback. I think we all got way too high, way too fast on Drew Lock, and then we all fell off that bandwagon just as fast.
He's been really hurt. I mean, that dude can't play more than 8 games a year, which might be a problem. I think he makes sense as like kind of the chaser, like the shot chaser combo is Drew Lock and a pick for whoever. Maybe if I'm the Packers specifically, maybe Drew Lock and a first round pick sounds good to me, or first round pick and a second round pick and a later third round pick for Aaron Rodgers. That might be interesting. The next tier here, I think Mac Jones makes a lot of sense for the Falcons, by the way. I
think Mac Jones is going to be a Patriot.
Ooh, interesting. Well, the Patriots are on here, but they're not in this tier, which is the teams that are lying. The teams that are just lying. They're not telling us the truth about what they're trying to do. And those teams are the Texans with Deshaun Watson, the Eagles with Carson Wentz, and subsequently the Bears, and then also the Saints potentially to themselves. And the reason why the Saints are lying to themselves is if they don't think that Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill are going to be their quarterbacks next year, they're lying to themselves. They don't have the money to afford another quarterback. And they've got 2 decent ones, so why not?
Right.
It seems like Carson Wentz is going to the Bears. How do you feel about that?
Really, I was thinking the Colts. Is there a new report out?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I mean, Yahoo's got one, ESPN's got one now.
Okay.
There's a few that they are engaged in trade talks.
Fine, go get another quarterback that was overdrafted and underdelivered. Like, go do your thing, Chicago. You'll never find a franchise quarterback. You are equivalent to the Lions trying to win a Super Bowl when it comes to finding a franchise quarterback. You've never had one. Even our sorry-ass franchise has had one, and you'll never get one, especially if you start trading assets for guys like Carson Wentz, who have a total of like a stretch of 11 good games in his entire career where he was worth anything. Other than that, he's a guy who doesn't know how to get rid of the ball. He fumbles every other play, and he hasn't been good since his sophomore season. And by the way, that same season he was good, somebody else took that team to the Super Bowl and won it. Oh, that's somebody else? Oh, was he too shitty to be your starting quarterback last year? Yeah, he was. So I wonder how it's going to work with Carson Wentz. Not well. Not well at all, Chicago.
As a Lions fan, I have no problem with the Bears trying to sign Carson Wentz, because not only is he, I'm sure he'll be better than he was this year, but I'm also sure he'll be pretty aggressively mediocre, and he also costs a shitload of money. So anytime you can trade for a slightly overrated quarterback who's kind of mentally on the outs, who costs way too much money, you have to do it.
Yeah, when it comes to the Texans, Deshaun Watson's starting next year for them. They're not taking phone calls from Deshaun Watson. They are not. There's reports out there that every time the Texans get a call, they hang the phone up. They say, sorry, we're fixing it. He just signed a 5-year extension. Just signed a 5-year extension, and they have 3 franchise tags they can use on him after that. Why trade him? You can either rot on the bench right here, or we can fix things. You don't find a Deshaun Watson. The let's go back to Chicago. They've been looking for a Deshaun Watson for 50 years and have never found one. You don't trade that guy. You say, hey, bud, you can ruin your career. We'll fine you $3 million by the time training camp's up. That's our money now. And it'll work. This is I am all for Deshaun Watson demanding a trade. But also, I don't blame the Texans if they say too bad, dude.
You know, I think it makes sense that you would say that because you look like you're trying to overthrow Superman. But
he was right. It was 10 minutes later.
I don't know what is going to happen there. Do you think I honestly think that Deshaun Watson might be one of the only players in the NFL, given all of the history and kind of given, I think, what he as a person seems to stand for, who would be willing to toss away $10 million to get traded, to just sit on the bench, like you said. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they'll work it out, but it's not just one thing, it's like 5 things.
Yeah, it makes sense that you would say that since it looks like you should be dressing in black and white and trying to fight Batman. But
nice.
No, I agree. I mean, I agree. Like that's a dude who he'll take his time. You take my $3 million. You told me I was going to have a say. I told you I want Robert Saleh. You can't even interview the guy. You can't give him a call. Hey, Robert, we wanted to interview you for the job, and then just lie to my face and tell me it was a shitty interview. At least do something. But I don't think they're going to do it. I think they have their first-year GM coming from the New England Patriots organization, and he's going to do what those guys do. What'd Bob Quinn do? Come in and try to be the smartest guy who has ever been the general manager of a football team. What did he do instead? He sucked, because you don't just get to bring the Patriot way with you. You have to create it. You have to deserve it. And those guys do not deserve it. Man, you've barked like one time in the 2 weeks I've had you, and now you barked twice.
Sir, pardon me, sir.
He's okay. He's okay. Oh, you
We've
know why?
already warned you once, sir.
I know why he's barking. Hold on.
Okay.
I got pizza. Oh, your cough. See this? All right. Well, lay down.
So you have like a bomb sniffing dog, but for Jets?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sage tore up Casey's room pretty good today.
Oh,
and then I
don't have to crate him when I leave.
Really?
He's never chewed up one thing. He's never had an accident in the house. I left him Saturday night and Sunday night for like 4 or 5 hours each time.
He licked, I'm assuming he licked the inside of like a bag that used to have Sour Patch Kids in it and got like all hopped up today on sugar. And then was like running around all excited because some lady was dropping off groceries for me, and like was running around and then like peed while he was running around.
Look at your phone. What is this?
What is this?
I just got trending on Detroit. Lions have signed new star running back. Fucking Reddit. It's a joke on Reddit. I just got fooled by. I've never got a Reddit update in my life on my computer. That pissed me off. I'm thrown off now.
So the next tier, well, let me get you back on. The next tier is going to be the drafting a rookie tier, which is the Jets, Jaguars, maybe the Lions, maybe the Panthers.
Okay. The Jets, yes, unless they can make me look dumb for what I just said and get Deshaun Watson. The Jaguars, of course. If they don't, they should burn their stadium to the ground and we should go down to 31 NFL teams. The Lions, don't think it's happening. The Panthers, I think it's happening, but I don't think he'll start right away. The Lions, I'm going to be simple. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, they look at Jared Goff and they see a legit franchise quarterback. I believe them when they say that. Otherwise, we'll get to this a little bit later, talk about it more in depth, but they would have taken Carolina's deal. Otherwise, they would have made one of those deals that you got a little bit more right now and not as much down the line. They're going to see what they got with Goff, and then they're going to decide if they need to draft again a franchise quarterback.
Let's talk more about that because I have some questions later. But this next tier, the fourth of the 5 tiers, is the Pink Floyd, Is There Anybody Out There tier, which goes to the Pats, the Colts, and the Panthers, maybe the Panthers, who just seem desperate as hell to get anybody to pick up their calls about a quarterback. They are screaming into the void, please, I would like a quarterback, please. Look into your heart. That's from Miller's Crossing. That's for nobody. I don't know what they're going to do. Yeah.
Patriots. Mac Jones. He is a pocket passing white quarterback who looks like he belongs in a frat house. Probably has spent most of the last 4 years in a frat house. He fits what they look for. And that's who they're going to draft. I will put any amount of money. And he's going to be okay. He's going to be just okay for long enough for them to be like 8-8 and then 10-6 and then 6-10 and then 8-8 and they're finally like, oh shit, the dynasty is over. Okay, let's try to get out of our own way now that Tom Brady's gone and try to actually build something instead of just being like, hey, Bill,
what can I do for you?
Can you fix this for us?
Let me tap it with a wrench real fast, and it's fixed.
But it's been 4 years, Bill.
I just tapped it with a wrench.
We saw you tap it with a wrench last year, Bill.
Well, I got a new wrench, Robert.
Oh, you did? Because it feels like it's been the same wrench since 2018.
Well, how would you know that, Robert? What do you know about anything?
That's a good point, Bill. That's a good point. The Colts just got to figure out something, right? The Colts just have to figure, and that's why they're in this tier, I guess. That's exactly how you described it. I don't know what they're going to do at this point. I'll tell you what, give me a 3rd-round pick. I'll give you Jared Goff, and we'll see how it goes. But for real, what are their options right now? Rookie quarterback?
Sam Darnold.
Jameis Winston?
I don't think they're going to get Jameis Winston. I think that he's already locked into a contract, and the Saints will keep him. There's Marcus Mariota or David Carr. One of the Raiders could try to get something for one of those two.
Just sign every quarterback who was like moderately good and then got really shitty, and be like, one of you guys got to work out.
So you're
the
saying
Josh
you
Jackson,
pick up
Christian Wood theory.
You take Joe Flacco, you take Sam Darnold, you take Marcus Mariota, and you take whatever one of those 49ers backups is.
And
and you cage
the whole
match.
Time you're just like, well, we want to have competition at practice. We really, we want to see who's the best. It's open competition. I'm not going to name a starter. It's Thursday before week 1. You're like, who is going to start? And all of a sudden it's Joe Flacco. You're like, you pick Joe Flacco over Sam Darnold?
4 quarterbacks go in. Only one comes out.
Hard Knocks.
I'd watch that.
I would so watch that.
That'd be so good. In the last tier here, this is a reference that I'm stealing from the way a TV executive describes his relationship with on-air talent. And it's the we love you, we love you, we love you, we hate you, you're fired tier. And in that tier, I have the Lions with Jared Goff, the Bears with whoever their quarterback's going to be, the Raiders, maybe the Panthers, and the Washington Football Club.
Dude, there is too many spots here. I don't even know where. There's going to be 5 rookies drafted in the first 5 rookie quarterbacks going in the first 20 picks at the longest. It's everybody needs one, and there's not enough guys on the market anymore. And I mean, I guess the Colts could be like, all right, Jacoby Brissett, we know it doesn't work, but I guess we'll waste this amazing defense we have right now and see if you can do it. Like, everybody's just going to be like, fuck it, we got to take a shot. Let's hit. Let's get this right. And only like one of them are gonna. Obviously, the Jags are gonna get it right, but after that, only like one of these teams are gonna get it right.
Can I interest you in Trey Lance falling to 21 for the Colts?
Yes, you can. You 100. But Trey Lance can't start week 1, can he?
I don't think so. I've finally gone through the Trey Lance tape, and I am here to tell you, I know he only played 1 game this year, but the stuff from 2 years ago is not. His receivers are never going to be that open in the NFL. His receivers are.
Do they throw them open, or are they just like hanging out?
No, they are open. They are open on the sidelines, 25 yards downfield. They are wide open.
I need to watch more of that tape. I still haven't got around to my Trey Lance deep dive, but there's just something about Division II quarterbacks. I just always want them to be so good.
I'll even go one step further and really potentially embarrass myself. I do not see the arm talent that other people see. I see him throwing 30 yards down the field, sure, but like they're not dimes. Like they get there and they get caught, but that he's not making NFL throws. That's not what I see. When I look at Zach Wilson, I see NFL throws. I see him running schemed throws, like doing the reads and then doing all the things. I watch Trey Lance and he's watching a guy run a post route the whole effing time. And that guy just happens to be open because he's playing against Grand Valley State University or whatever.
Can you stop it? Can you please stop it? I don't want to be down on Trey Lance. Why do you think I procrastinated watching this video so much? All this tape. Because I love Division II quarterbacks. I love them. And I want them all to be so good. And when they're not, it makes me sad.
It's a heartwarming story. And the thing about it is that Trey Lance is the quarterback that makes the most sense for Jared Goff for the Lions. And that's why they're in this tier. So you can tell Jared Goff for a year and a half, we love you, we love you, we love you. He throws 3 picks in week 8, 2 years from now. We hate you, you're fired. Trey Lance is in the game.
You're right. You're 100% right. So are you saying, is what you're saying is that I should just never watch the Trey Lance tape and just like wait until week 8 of the 2022 season and be like, well, I heard this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually not a it's not a terrible idea. I mean, if you want to see him split defenders against Appalachian State, like that's great. Like go on and do that. But I'm fucking stupid. So you could very easily watch that tape and see something different than me. But
yeah, we're all stupid. I just read the scouting report for Aaron Donald the other day on Twitter, and it was like NFL.com was like, doesn't look the part, could possibly be rotational defensive linemen. Like, we're all idiots. Nobody knows what's going on when it comes to these drafts. We just try our very darndest best.
There's also like, I also should be careful because these are tapes from his junior year of college. And, you know, sometimes that year makes a big difference, right? Look at Joe Burrow or Zach Wilson, quite frankly. Like, there are a lot of these guys that, you know, you don't see it until the very last year. So
I think I'm the most on board with Zach Wilson right now.
Me too.
But I don't want to see him sit for a full season.
I don't think he will. So let's talk about this now, because you said it earlier. You think that the Lions they see Jared Goff as a franchise quarterback. That's what you think that they see?
Unfortunately.
Why do you think that?
Because if not, they would have taken 9. They would have taken Teddy Bridgewater, and they would have drafted a quarterback, then got Micah Parsons right after. But now they're just going to try to load up on talent, as much talent as you can get. You're going to suck with Jared Goff. Whether you see him as a franchise quarterback or not, you know he's not as good as Matt Stafford. You know you're going to suck. So get the draft picks. Maybe you have the 3rd pick next year, and you get the 2nd best quarterback off the board instead of the 3rd or the 4th like you're going to get this year. And Teddy Bridgewater is a hell of a lot easier to say, hey, hit the bench than it is for Jared Goff making $100 zillion every 2 seconds. So I think Brad Holmes is looking at this the way nobody else in this organization has ever done and saying, you know what? I don't need to rush this. Everybody else comes in and they go, this team's never won anything. These fans need it. They demand it. They need it now. Brad Holmes is going, if you want to win something, it's going to take me a couple years. And I think he's totally fine with waiting to draft a quarterback, seeing what he's got in Goff. And then worst case scenario, it's 2023. You've built your defense. You have a quarterback on a rookie contract with some nice pieces on offense and the offensive line. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, we were actually able to sign 3 offensive linemen this season and a good linebacker because our quarterback's making $8 million a year. I mean, I'm not saying they won't draft a quarterback in the 3rd, the 4th round and be like, oh, we love this guy. I don't know how people don't see it and take him. But we know how that goes 90% of the time. I just don't think they're going to take one at 7.
So I actually think because they didn't take the Panthers trade, to me, that makes me think that they don't see Jared Goff as a long-term solution at quarterback or as a franchise quarterback. Because if you taking the Panthers offer is the better short-term offer, but the Rams offer is the better long-term offer. Yeah, but I mean, what's the difference between Jared Goff, Teddy Bridgewater? I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
like,
but you got to remember, this is Brad Holmes. This is Brad Holmes, the guy that essentially was from what you hear, the key guy in drafting Jared Goff. That is Brad Holmes' love child right there. He loves that guy.
So I think that, to me, taking Jared Goff is you're taking a known quantity. We know, if I'm Brad Holmes, I know exactly what I'm going to get from Jared Goff, and I know what I'm getting, and I want to take a risk I want to be bad this year. Who's he going to be thrown to, right? So if we don't franchise tag Kenny Golladay, to me, that's another sign that, like, we're going to win 2 games this year. We're going to be 2-14, and then they want to.
And I'm going to be watching the
9-7.
Rams on Sundays.
Yeah, well, we get to be Rams fans, so we get to.
And their games are at 4. Oh my God, that's amazing! I love that.
Yeah, so we can look at this with a silver lining and preemptively decide that we're all going to be Rams fans, kind of secondarily this year. We have a 4:00 team, I guess we would call it, right? Our 4:00 team is the Rams.
I'm going to be watching the Rams more intently than I'll be watching the Lions. I mean, I'm going to watch every Lions game. I can't not, but the passion with which I will watch a Rams game will exceed the passion with which I will watch a Lions game.
This is interesting. We really don't have any idea what the Lions are really going to do.
No,
we're really in the dark.
I love it.
Do you think that Heineke is the starter for Washington next year?
Where are they picking?
So, I mean, they were a playoff
16?
team, so 18. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. I'd love to see that for 3 weeks, but I think by week 5 he's going to not be good.
That's another team that could go and knock on Mac Jones's door and be disappointed by the end of it. But boy, would that be a bad look for Washington.
There's never been a better year to be a quarterback from a mid-major going in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the spot this year, man. If you're not getting Trevor Lawrence, I think that's the spot where you go and you say, all right, let's take a shot, but we don't need it. This isn't. I don't think you should be drafting Fields or Wilson or Lance if you need it. You know what I'm saying? So don't waste that first round pick when there's in my opinion, above 50% chance you're not going to get it right or even that close.
Let's move into some basketball. We've got a few minutes left here. The Detroit Pistons traded Derrick Rose for Dennis Smith Jr. and a second-round pick. And Andrew's going to do a quick slow clap.
Troy fucking Weaver, baby. I love this guy.
People? Yeah,
I love this guy, Troy Weaver, man. Dennis Smith Jr. used to average his rookie year is like 15 points a game. Sure, he shoots like 38% from the field, but he's got a 45-inch vertical. He has shown that he can be like a solid NBA player. He was a guy who wanted to work, like literally asked to go to the G League to work on his game because he was disappointing himself. He needed time to get his stuff together, and he did it. And now he's going to come in here, and he's going to get minutes, I think, at least. I think he'll get minutes right, not a ton, but he'll get minutes pretty much right off rip.
Yeah,
I love it.
So there's not a real backup to DeLon Wright right now, I don't think.
Not for another 6 weeks, 5 weeks.
Right. So I think he pairs better with Killian than Frank Ntilikina may have. Dennis Smith Jr. is an expiring contract, so we're basically going to bring him in for a year, see what it is, and then potentially
and then sign him for free if he's anything.
What do you mean?
He's gonna be a $3-4 million a year guy. If he looks like anything decent, you're gonna sign him to a 2-year, $8 million deal after this, and that's fantastic.
So you don't think that there's Christian Wood potential here, where he plays well and goes and signs somewhere else?
Not that well. If he starts playing that well, bench his ass. Bench him and then sign him to a contract and then play him. Or you got a little while to the trade deadline. Give him 25 minutes a game. See if some dummy will come knocking for the Clippers will come knocking for the 31st pick or whatever it may be.
Yeah, they're really
30th pick. Give me Reggie Jackson back too while you're at it.
No. They're really loving Luke Kennard over there, I'm sure. Ha 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 ha. So the thing about Dennis Smith Jr. is that he was in the G League when we traded for him. So like a week ago. Dennis Smith Jr. is technically a G League player. His numbers have been all over the place over the course of his career, and he's already on his third team, and he's been in the league 4.5, 5 years. So are you nervous about this at all? About bringing him in?
Where's the risk?
Right? Yeah.
Where's the risk? If I trade Derrick Rose to the Clippers, I get the 29th or 30th pick, and that's it. If I trade D Rose to the Knicks, I get Dennis Smith Jr. and like the 40th pick. There's not much of a difference between the 30th and the 40th pick. You're taking a shot in the dark. You have no idea who you're getting, if he's going to be any good or if he's going to be off your team by the end of the year. Like the late first, early second throughout the rest of the draft is a shit show. You have no idea. Nobody does. And that's why there's 2 or 3 guys each year that are like, oh, I never thought that guy would be good. That's because nobody did. Nobody thought they'd be good. If you don't look like a superstar, your potential in the NBA is little to none. So you're going to take the same shot in the dark you would take at 30, at 40, and you get Dennis Smith Jr., who could end up being a good player. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I don't think any of the other teams listed to be involved would have beat it.
Why would the Knicks do this?
Because they're idiots. They're the Knicks.
Okay.
They're so dumb. I'm not even going to act surprised. This is like, you know what I'm hoping? I'm hoping the Knicks are our new Orlando Magic, where just like every time we need to get rid of somebody, it's like, hey, Orlando, will you give us a first-round pick? Oh, you'll give us a first-round pick and Tobias Harris? Okay. And then you hang up the phone, and you're like, was that a prank call? And everybody's like, I don't think so. I think we're good. And I'm just hoping it's that consistently from now on. They get like 3 good months out of Derrick Rose. And then all of a sudden, the whole Knicks front office is going there. They're like, you know what? I like this Troy Weaver guy. Let's just give him shit.
That's funny. Would you have rather had Kevin Knox or Frank Ntilikina?
No. Okay. Maybe Frank, not Kevin Knox. I am so far out on Kevin Knox. Frank at least like can play defense, which Dennis Smith Jr. can't do. Frank is got Chris Dunn written all over him, right? Guy, disappointing, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, we can play him 20 minutes. He can score 8 points a game, and he can be one of the better defenders in basketball on the perimeter. So maybe Frank, but I still see more upside in DSJ by a pretty wide margin, which is what you should be looking for in this trade. That's it. That's the only thing you should be looking for in this trade is upside. What offer has the most total upside? And the 40th pick plus Dennis Smith Jr. would have been hard to beat.
Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox, Frank Nidolinka. Which one is averaging 39% from three this year?
I guess you're going to say Kevin Knox.
It is Kevin Knox.
Yeah, and he's averaging 36% from the field for his career.
He's 37% from the floor for his career. Sure. 49% this year. It's still 21 years old, still a part of what we will, I am sure, see as the worst talent development over a period of time in the history of the NBA. I would love to find out if he was on the table. I would have liked to have had Kevin Knox instead.
Comment down below. Comment down below. Frankie Nicotine, Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox with the same second round pick. What you got?
Cool.
Cool. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, let's get out of here. I need to.
I need
recording
to eat this
on Monday. Yeah, you need to eat that pizza.
All right,
sitting in front of you. Walking,
yeah, I know it's been tough. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I guess we'll see you about some sports next week. I don't really know what sports are going on, but we'll talk about them.
We're probably going to get real NBA focused, real baseball focused. Maybe even a little bit of soccer focus. There's some USMNT games coming up here in March, and Olympic qualifying and the Euros, and we'll see. We're gonna get a little weird with it. Hey Andrew, conceptual question: do you think we'll do any Olympic coverage?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, that's been Fan to Fan. We'll see you guys later.